now? You want me to fight you?
Of wow, that guy was creepy.
It's running as well, isn't it?
Take me back to old Yazoo. Everything up here is new. I can't stand it, just must land it.
Sean Dewitt's YouTube channel is dedicated to outdoor adventures, camping experiences, and survival situations. His videos often capture unsettling encounters and the unknown aspects of wilderness camping. In this particular video, filmed on March 27th, 2017, Sean and his friend Ryan find themselves in a tense and disturbing situation in the woods. Sean and Ryan were hiking through a remote wooded area, taking what they believe to be a simple shortcut. The forest is quiet, and their journey seems uneventful, until an unknown woman suddenly emerges from the trees. She aggressively accuses them of being on her private property and demands to know why they are there. Her confrontational tone catches them off guard, and she insists that they have crossed into restricted land. Sean quickly attempts to defuse the situation, explaining that they were just passing through. However, the woman is unrelenting, continuously accusing them of trespassing. She even claims they were trying to break into a nearby house, despite them being nowhere near any buildings. As tensions rise, Ryan tries to leave, but the woman steps in front of him, blocking his path. She insists that he isn't going anywhere, becoming more aggressive in her accusations. Moments later, the situation escalates further when a man suddenly appears from the woods. He immediately backs up the woman's claims and forcefully tells Sean and Ryan to leave. The couple's insistence on their supposed wrongdoing begins to feel unsettling, as their accusations grow more intense, despite the hikers' clear attempts to leave peacefully.
You're not supposed to be here, okay?
This is their backyard.
No, it's not. This is my yard.
The rocks separate the properties.
Yeah, but you're not in the rocks, were you? Were you?
We were on them.
No, you weren't.
Guys, private property. Private property, so please.
I will. Come.
No.
What are you doing?
What do you mean now? You want me to fight you?
Nancy.
We're leaving right now. Come on,
He's
Ryan.
not leaving.
Come on.
What are you talking about? What's going on?
They're playing hunch. 2 doors down.
No, but this is considered the
No, it isn't.
boundaries.
No, it
What are
isn't.
you talking about? Boundaries.
The
We're just
boundary-
cutting through because it's a shortcut.
It's not a shortcut. How do I know you're not breaking into that home?
I'm not gonna break in them. These people are wicked nice.
Oh,
See, that guy's right there.
Right. How do I know you're not breaking into their house?
We're not.
How do I know?
Why? I
Why
wouldn't.
are you up here?
Because my friends were back here and we chased them.
Do not.
Where are you from?
From.
How far down? Where are you from?
Come.
No.
You want to start?
I didn't do anything.
You did. You trespassed on my property, and you know that.
I was on the rocks.
The rock is my property.
Realizing that the encounter is becoming increasingly hostile, Sean urges Ryan to leave with him. The woman, however, remains aggressive and refuses to let them go without a fight. As they back away, she continues to press them, even stepping toward Sean in an intimidating manner. The tension is palpable, and then, without warning, the video cuts off. Were Sean and Ryan truly on private property? Or was this an overreaction from the woman and the man who appeared from the woods? Many who watched the video questioned the aggressive behavior of the strangers, wondering if their intent was simply to scare the hikers away, or if something more was at play. What did you make of this? Let me know your thoughts.
Before moving forward, I'll really appreciate if you would take some time to subscribe to the channel and join this amazing community. About 95% of you guys aren't subscribed. It's free, plus I got a surprise for you all once we reach 50,000 subscribers. Now, back to the video.
On October 30th, 2024, the YouTube channel Adventure Outdoors uploaded a Halloween special, sharing what was meant to be a routine overnight stay in an old bothy in the southern uplands of Scotland. The plan was simple. 2 hikers, Martin and the channel's host, would brave an approaching storm in the abandoned stone shelter. enjoying a night of food, drinks, and storytelling. However, what started as an ordinary camping trip quickly turned into something unsettling. The bothy itself had been around since at least 1850, and over the years, stories of eerie encounters had emerged from those who had stayed there. Hikers claimed to have heard screams in the night, and one particularly disturbing story involved a man who was so terrified by what he saw at the window that he lost complete control of his bowels. Martin and his companion, however, arrived with skepticism, ready for a good night rather than a ghost hunt.
So we're in the bothy, there's nobody else here. I'll give you a quick tour. Got a little kitchen area here with great views over the hills. People have left bits and bobs, some soup noodles, some stock pots, rice, pasta. And then you've got a main room here. A couple of areas to sleep. Nice stove there. It's cracking, isn't it?
Oh, it's amazing.
And then through here,
A couple of candles on.
a couple of more beds there as well.
Yeah, I'd say it sleeps one. You could possibly get two on there, couldn't you?
Yeah, so you get a few in. I mean, there's space on the floor as well if you needed to sleep on the floor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I reckon I could comfortably sleep about 8. So it's about 3:30. It's still a bit early for a beer, so we're going to go and have a walk around the local area, check out some of the woodlands. We need to get some water for our freeze-dried meals tonight, but me and Martin were just discussing whether or not this bothy is haunted. A few people have stayed here and had a few weird experiences, but we both, think it's fine. I don't think there's anything weird here. Do you, Martin?
I mean, to be honest, I don't really believe a lot of that stuff anyway, so. But it feels like, I know when people walk into it, they kind of go, oh, it feels up. But it didn't feel like there's no bad vibe or energy in here. But
there's no bad juju or anything.
I mean, the only thing that kind of would be a bit spooky, I think, at night, there's no blinds or anything on the window, so looking out there when it's pitch black, you might
just to see someone's face up against the glass, that wouldn't be
it
wouldn't be nice.
Wouldn't be ideal.
As they settled in, the two men explored the bothy, which was empty aside from a few leftover supplies. Instant noodles, stock cubes, rice, and pasta left behind by previous visitors. They remarked on how clean and well-kept the place was, and then prepared to step outside to collect water before the storm fully set in. It was at this point that things started to feel strange. While standing in the bothy, one of them suddenly noticed that a set of hanging objects had begun swinging on their own. The movement was slow at first, but it was clear that neither of them had touched anything. At first, they laughed it off as a small anomaly. After all, they were in an old building, and the wind outside was beginning to pick up. However, the night had only just begun, and this was just the first sign that something was very wrong.
Well, so here we are. It's getting dark outside. The storm has really picked up. I don't know if you can hear it on the GoPro.
But it feels like it's getting slightly worse by the hour. I reckon up until about midnight.
Yeah, it's cooling down a bit as well, so I think we'll have to get the fire on shortly, Marty. What do you reckon?
Yeah. And fire, some food, and then we'll crack on some wine.
Yeah. The wind is really, really blowing out there now. The storm's in full swing.
As darkness fell, the storm intensified. Winds raged outside with gusts reaching up to 50 miles per hour, shaking the structure. The two hikers poured themselves drinks, attempting to make the best of their situation. But as they chatted, an unexplained chill settled over the room, making them both uneasy. Then, the door moved. At first, it was just a slight shift, something that could be attributed to the wind. But then, the door slammed shut with a force, as if someone, or something, had pushed it closed. Startled, the two men leapt up, their instincts telling them to run. For a moment, neither of them spoke. When they finally gathered themselves, they tried to rationalize what had happened, but the more they thought about it, the less sense it made.
So plaudits to whoever stayed here last night. Well done. Absolutely spotless. Hold on a minute.
Whoa.
Yes.
Whoa.
I'm out.
Whoa.
I'm out of here.
No.
No.
Right, you can't see us here, but we just ran out of this room there. That was totally weird. The door just started to move on its own, and then it just pretty much slammed shut. I mean, Marty's out there.
I don't really want to come back in.
He's in bits. That was just the weirdest thing, wasn't it?
And my lights gone on the blink. I can't even film because I'm keep. And we didn't bring out. I'd go out if I had my tent. I'd go outside in that now.
Yeah, that was proper. That wasn't good at all. That was it.
It was at this point that the atmosphere changed completely. The once cozy body now felt oppressive, heavy with an unseen presence. Then, just as they began to calm down, they saw something that sent them into full panic. A chair in the corner of the room began to move on its own. The slow, deliberate motion of the chair was unlike anything they had ever seen before. At first, it was subtle, almost imperceptible. But as they watched in growing horror, it continued to shift, as if being pulled by invisible hands. The realization that they were not alone in the body finally sank in. Martin, visibly shaken, refused to go near the chair. The fear in his voice was unmistakable. This wasn't just paranoia or an overactive imagination. Something real was happening. The two men were now faced with an agonizing choice: stay inside with whatever entity was making its presence known, or step outside into the raging storm.
Like the backdraft of the wind. I mean, there's a storm going on outside, so
Yeah, but I still don't believe it was the wind. But it's the only when the wind's blowing that strong outside, and there's no. It's the only rational explanation, even though. I'm not even looking at that. No, I'm not looking at it. It's moving, right? So, I'm honest, I don't know where to go. I don't know where to go.
this can't be right.
I don't.
I'm not.
It's black in here as well. I can't see a thing.
So there's a chair over there, and it just started to move, which is.
No way. I'm not even. No.
It's bonkers.
I'm not having any part of this.
That is moving.
Jesus Christ.
It is moving. That chair is moving.
Just leave it. Come out there.
Oh,
Come out
Christ.
there.
The fear soon turned into helplessness. The storm outside made leaving nearly impossible, and the bothy, which had once been a safe refuge, now felt like a trap. With no real option but to stay, the men tried their best to ignore the activity. They sat down, drank their wine, and waited for morning. Throughout the night, they heard strange sounds, whispers in the wind, faint knocks against the walls, and the occasional creak of furniture shifting when neither of them had moved. At one point, the chair moved again, but this time, neither of them acknowledged it. They were too afraid to react.
Well, I'm gonna drink some more wine, I think.
That's poltergeist shit, Paul. That's poltergeist stuff. That's not ghostly. That's like evil spirit.
By morning, the storm had subsided, and with daylight came a sense of relief. Without wasting time, they packed up quickly and left, barely speaking of the previous night's events. Whatever had happened in the bothy, they wanted nothing more than to forget it ever took place. Was the bothy haunted, or was it just the storm playing tricks on them? What do you think? A YouTube channel called Terran Outdoors captures outdoor adventures, hiking, and mountain biking trips. In this video, uploaded on March 10th, 2025, Terran shares a deeply personal and unnerving experience that took place during a biking trip in Whitefish, Montana, which was caught on camera. The trip started out like any other. Whitefish, known for its stunning trails and beautiful mountain scenery, was the perfect setting for an outdoor adventure. The day was bright and crisp, the air filled with a scent of pine, and the trails were busy with hikers, bikers, and dog walkers. Taryn recalls passing by a woman with an off-leash dog, exchanging a friendly greeting before continuing along the path. Everything seemed normal, until they encountered a strange man on the trail. Up ahead, they saw a solitary figure, a man in a white shirt and glasses, walking alone. As they approached, they called out the usual biking courtesy, "On your left," but the man didn't react. They tried again, louder this time, still nothing. A third attempt, no response. Something about his complete lack of reaction felt off. Taryn even joked about how unsettling it was, making a passing comment about how the man gave off serial killer vibes. But with nothing else seeming particularly alarming, they shrugged it off and kept moving.
Very recently, I started posting my outdoor-related content, but the truth is that I have been recording my adventures for many, many years now. And as I've been going through my old photos and videos, I came across some footage of a mountain bike trip to Whitefish, Montana. And what happened on this day became a memory, a story that I share often because it impacted me deeply, a lesson was learned, and will forever be engraved in my mind. Now, if you are a human, you have likely judged another person based off of how they look. And if you're really honest with yourself, I bet you can remember at least one of those times when you have been proven very, very wrong. Well, this is one of those times for me. We rented some mountain bikes and headed out to the trail, which was about a mile away. Trailhead was busy. There were all sorts of people out and about. You had hikers, you had bikers, you had people walking with their dogs, people running with their dogs off leash, big groups of people, people walking by themselves, and so on. And when you're on a mountain bike, navigating around them, your eyes are wide open, paying attention to your every move, and often calling out things like, "Excuse me," or "On your left." One of the people that stuck out in our mind was this woman who was walking by herself with her dog off leash. I remember passing her and making a comment like it was a beautiful day, have a good one, and we went along our merry way. I remember being pretty far back in the park when we noticed a man up ahead. He was wearing a white shirt and glasses, walking by himself. We called out to him that we were coming up on his left. He didn't react at all. So we called out again, "Hey, we're coming up on your left, excuse me." No reaction. Third time, no reaction, which I thought it was odd. Odd enough for me to make a comment, something along the lines of, "Wow, that guy was creepy," or "Talk about a serial killer."
As the ride continued, exhaustion began to set in. Taryn realized that if they didn't turn around soon, making it back to the bike shop would be a struggle, so they decided to turn back, expecting to possibly run into the man again. But instead, they stumbled upon something much more concerning. The woman they had seen earlier was still on the trail, but this time, she was frantic. She was pacing in circles, looking around in distress. Even more alarming, her dog was gone. Sensing something was wrong, Taryn and her group stopped to ask if she needed help. She explained that she wasn't actually looking for her dog. She was looking for her husband, who had dementia and no cell phone. Then the realization hit.
So naturally, your mind takes note of who and what you saw. Eventually, we got to a point where I thought, if we don't turn around right this moment, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it back to the bike shop. We turned around and headed back. I kind of thought we were going to run into that guy again, but we ended up not seeing him. We did, however, come up on that woman. This time, she looked very frantic. She was walking in circles, looking around. She seemed lost, and she didn't have her dog with her, which prompted us to stop. So we asked her, "Ma'am, are you okay? Are you missing your dog?" She replied, "Well, I am missing my dog. The dog is with my husband. I'm actually missing my husband. He has dementia and he doesn't have a cell phone on him." We asked her, was he wearing a white shirt and glasses? And she responded, yes. In that moment, I felt two things. One, I felt a lot of guilt, because that was the guy with dementia was the guy that I called a serial killer. But I also felt a very strong responsibility to find this man. Being on bikes, we knew that we could cover a lot more ground in a short amount of time. We asked for her phone number, told her we would keep our eye out and call her as soon as we found him. We got a little lost ourselves on the way back, making a few wrong turns, but we could not get him off our mind.
The woman described her husband, a man in a white shirt and glasses, the same man they had just seen, the same man they had casually labeled as creepy. Guilt washed over Taryn, but there was no time to dwell on it. They had to find him. Knowing they could cover more ground on bikes, they took the woman's phone number and set off. They searched the trails, retracing their steps, hoping to catch sight of him. The situation grew more urgent by the minute. The dense forest, the crisscrossing trails. It would be far too easy for him to wander deeper into the wilderness and disappear. After a few wrong turns, they finally made it back to the trailhead, and what they saw shocked them. The man was standing alone in the parking lot. Despite the bustling activity around him, he seemed completely lost, unaware of his surroundings. His wife was nowhere in sight. Taryn and her group approached him gently, explaining that his wife was looking for him, but the man didn't understand what was happening. He looked at them, confused, struggling to grasp the situation. It became clear that he didn't realize he was lost.
I don't think he's at the trailhead. And you know, my legs, the ones that were almost dead, that I couldn't make it back to the bike shop, well, those legs now had superhuman strength. We finally made it back to the trailhead and could not believe our eyes. There, in the same parking lot, standing by himself, surrounded in the same amount of people, was this man wandering around with the dog by his side.
Wow, he's here. Hi, Pat.
We mentioned who we were and that his wife was looking for him, but he didn't quite understand what was going on even after we explained it to him. After about 30 minutes of trying to call his wife, she finally picked up, and it turned out that they had actually parked on an entirely different trailhead, which was about a 30-minute drive from where we were. So we waited there with him, and when his wife pulled up, her face was much different. Her eyes were lit up. You could tell she was very thankful, and I'm sure very relieved that we were able to locate her husband. We stood there and talked for a bit, and I remember her telling me that if we ever made it back to Glacier National Park, we had to hike a trail called Iceberg Lake. And I've always kept that in the back of my mind, that maybe if we go back one day, we'll get to hike that very trail and we'll get to invite her along with us. So it started as a simple adventure, turned into something more. A quiet lesson forever etched in my soul about making quick judgments, hidden struggles, and the power of stepping up when it matters. A beautiful reminder that life's trails are for more than just riding. They're for crossing paths and recognizing the messages in everyday life.
For the next 30 minutes, they repeatedly called his wife, desperately trying to reach her. Finally, she answered. In a surprising twist, they learned that she had parked at a completely different trailhead, 30 minutes away. The realization was chilling. Her husband had wandered so far off course that he had ended up at an entirely different location. When his wife finally arrived, her face lit up with relief. The overwhelming gratitude in her eyes spoke louder than words. She had been terrified, but now, thanks to a chance encounter, she had found her husband safe. What had started as just another bike ride had turned into something life-changing. The experience left Taryn with an unforgettable lesson. Judgments aren't always what they seem, and every stranger carries a story we may never fully understand. On December 1st, 2016, the YouTube channel Exploring Abandoned Mines and Unusual Places uploaded a video documenting a nighttime exploration of the Waldeck Mine, an abandoned gold mine deep in a forested canyon. The original goal was when the YouTuber captured disturbing, unexplained sounds deep inside the mine. The conditions that night were already unsettling. A violent storm raged outside, with winds reaching up to 50 miles per hour, notorious for its decaying tunnels, unstable rock formations, and collapsing wooden structures that barely held the ceiling in place. Equipped with only his flashlight and a camera, the YouTuber ventured inside. navigating through the pitch-black labyrinth of tunnels with caution. Once inside, the silence was overwhelming. Other than the sound of his boots crunching against loose rock and the occasional flutter of bats overhead, the mine was eerily still.
Okay, that's the portal to the Waldeck mine. I'm inside. The wind has kind of died down a little bit and it's not raining, so I managed to stay dry. Handheld flashlight you see here. And I'll show you how it works. That's the only light that I'll use in this mine. Looks like right here on the right is some gobbing. That goes all the way down there. And then right up there is a little bat sleeping. And we're headed this way. So let me get down here and turn off my lights. Okay, yeah, this is like a kind of a stope chamber going up, and the tunnel continues straight ahead. So let me put the light on here, the through night light, and I'm going to turn out my helmet lights. There's one, and there's two.
Something strange happened. A faint whispering sound echoed through the tunnel. At first, it was barely noticeable, just a soft murmur blending with the wind outside. But the more he listened, the more it began to sound like voices. Then, the whispering stopped. The sudden silence was even more unnerving. It was as if something had noticed him listening and decided to stop. Brushing off the strange experience, he continued further inside, keeping his flashlight steady as he documented the unstable wooden beams supporting the tunnel. Then, the sound returned. Louder this time. It wasn't just a whisper anymore. It was a deep, guttural growl, resonating from somewhere beyond his line of sight.
You can see how big these timbers are. That's about almost a foot in diameter, the big cross timber, so they had to put big ones in here to hold up all of this rock. And you can see right here where some of these boards are bending.
The YouTuber froze in place, heart pounding. It didn't sound like an animal, and it certainly didn't sound human. Before he could react, the noise abruptly stopped again. At this point, he turned back, moving quickly toward the entrance. But just as he neared the exit, one final sound sent chills down his spine. A sharp, metallic clinking echoed through the mine, as if a rock had been kicked or a tool had been dropped. But he was completely alone. Terrified, he made his way out of the mine as fast as possible. The closer he got to the entrance, the more relieved he felt. Once outside, he took a deep breath and tried to rationalize what had just happened. At first, many viewers speculated that the eerie noises could have been wind passing through the tunnels, distant echoes, or environmental acoustics. However, a later analysis of the footage by YouTube user Honk Boyd revealed something even more chilling. In an enhanced audio version of the footage, Honk Boyd was able to isolate clear, distinct phrases hidden in the whispers. Among them, viewers could make out words like this.
Here's that ore chute again. Now I gotta get past this chute. Wow, crazy. And then you can see how big these timbers are. That's about almost a foot in diameter, the big cross timber, so they had to put big ones in here to hold up all of this rock. And you can see right here where some of these boards are bending. Do you hear that? Sounds like is that wind? Do you hear that? It stopped. Wow. Wow. I don't know what that is. That doesn't sound like wind, but that's crazy. Don't know if that's a bird or I don't know what that is. I've heard some weird stuff in mines, but that is definitely creepy. I don't know what that is. So let's get out of here.
Or had the YouTuber unknowingly captured something much darker? Perhaps even supernatural? Also, if you heard something different in this enhanced audio, let me know in the comments. English Woodsman is a YouTube channel that has been featured on this channel before. He is dedicated to wild camping, stealth camping, and outdoor cooking. In this footage, uploaded to YouTube on May 13th, 2023, he sets out on a bivy bag wild camping trip in an urban nature reserve. Expecting a peaceful night outdoors, he enjoys a hearty steak dinner and prepares to sleep under the stars. However, the night takes a terrifying turn when he is suddenly attacked. The footage begins with English Woodsman arriving at the camping spot, a quiet area near a pond surrounded by dense woodland. He expresses his love for the location, emphasizing how one doesn't need to travel far to enjoy nature.
Wow, it's starting to open up beautifully now. I do love this place. Regular viewers to the channel will know about this. I've been here a few times. Let's take a look at it. So this spot here is where I'm going to be wanting to lay my bivy bag. If I go more of a angle that way, you seem to be able to get more of a flatter lay. So that's where I will be sleeping. Like someone's been having a bit of a fire pit up here. But apart from that, the view's not fantastic, okay? So here's my problem. I think it's just a little bit too windy up here to cook my dinner. I'm wanting to cook it. So I think it's going to be better if I drop into a little woodland for now and do my dinner down there, because the wind will be blocked off by the trees and stuff. So I think that'll be a lot better than trying to cook up here. But we'll definitely make us way back at bedtime. So I love waking up in the morning and you're getting the views and just up high arty sort of thing.
As the sun sets, he sets up his bivy bag, a lightweight sleeping system designed for stealth camping, and starts preparing dinner. Instead of using a traditional gas or wood stove, he tests a biodegradable instant grill, a new cooking method he has never tried before. He cooks a T-bone steak with tomatoes and peppers, enjoying the simple pleasure of a meal cooked outdoors. While eating, he reflects on the beauty of camping in solitude, appreciating the peaceful surroundings. But as the night progresses, an unsettling shift occurs. As he lays down in his bivy bag, he notices the temperature dropping rapidly. The wind begins to pick up, and the once quiet reserve now feels strangely empty and desolate.
Right, so I managed to get it all back in the box. It cooled down. It's got a little bit of heat, but I don't think it's going to catch fire. So I'll get that back in the bag. I'm just walking my way out now. Well, I'm just laying my sad old ass down here for a bit. That steak was proper filling. Right, so you can see it's starting to get a little bit darker now. Most of the street lights are coming on. I've just been laying down on my bag. I think I fell asleep for about half an hour. I'm going to continue just laying down, just till it gets a little bit more darker, then I can get set up. Right, so I thought I'd show you what I'm using. Well, I can get away with having the light on. If it's too dark, I don't want to be shining my light, attracting attention at myself. So my Miltech bivy, I'll close that together like so. So then I've got my OEX 200 sleeping bag, my Flux 5.0 air mat, So that's supposed to give you some warmth. Well, you can clearly see now we're dropping light. You see all the street lights. Bottom of my bivvy bag there. The wind's picking up a little bit. Tell you what, it's amazing how quick the temperature drops at night time. I know it does it every night, but it's just when you're out like this, you realise it more.
He tries to relax, occasionally chatting to the camera, but suddenly notices something watching him. A massive deer stands in the darkness, staring directly at him. Its presence is unnerving, but at first he assumes it will simply move on. However, instead of retreating, the deer appears increasingly agitated. He whispers, acknowledging its size, but remains still, hoping not to startle it. Then, without warning, the deer charges. It takes only 4 steps before it collides full force into his bivvy bag, knocking the wind out of him. The impact is brutal. He immediately feels a sharp pain in his side, making it difficult to breathe. Disoriented and in shock, he groans in pain, struggling to process what just happened.
There's a massive deer just over there looking at me. Oh shit, it's running towards me. My side is really hurting. When I breathe, it hurts. It only took about 4 steps and it just barged into me with its head. Oh.
Realizing he can't continue the trip, he makes the difficult decision to pack up and leave immediately. With each breath, the pain worsens, making it clear that he may have suffered a serious injury. Despite being in agony, he remains calm as he gathers his gear. Before ending the video, he addresses potential comments from viewers who might criticize him for not standing his ground. He makes it clear that the deer was in its natural habitat and that he doesn't blame the animal for its actions. However, the intensity of the encounter left him no choice but to leave. Continuing the camp would have been too dangerous. As the video gained traction, many viewers questioned the authenticity of the encounter. Some speculated that the entire event was an elaborate prank or staged for dramatic effect. However, English woodsman himself responded to these claims, stating that the attack was 100% real. He emphasized that the pain he endured was not exaggerated and that the experience had been one of the most frightening moments of his camping adventures. But what do you think of this? As always, let me know. On March 25th, 2022, the YouTube channel Grizzly Gaz uploaded this video on YouTube. In this video, he ventures into a dense, isolated forest, planning to spend the night in solitude. But what was supposed to be a peaceful wild camping trip quickly becomes one of his creepiest experiences yet. Gaz was hiking through the woods with his dog Fendi, heading toward a semi-permanent camp he had previously set up with permission to be there. He expresses excitement about returning, as he hasn't been there in a while, but also acknowledges the eeriness of the area. As he arrives, he checks to see if anything has been disturbed. His fire pit, grill, and seating area are intact, and he even finds some leftover firewood from a past visit. The surrounding forest is unusually silent. No bird calls, no rustling leaves, just an overwhelming stillness. This eerie quiet unsettles him, but he brushes it off, eager to start setting up for the night.
Does anyone know why they wrap these around like this? I'd love to know. See them all over the shop when I'm walking about. I've no idea what they are and why they do that. Strange. Is it witchcraft or what? Don't look like anyone's been here, like. Me grill still hung up on this tree. Pan and a few seats. Fire pit's unused, so what a good do. Even got some wood here, look. Right, I'm gonna get this pack off me and get some water down me, and then maybe do some firewood prep.
He begins by filtering water from a nearby stream using a Sawyer filter, offering a tip to viewers that in the UK these filters don't fit smart water bottles like they do in the US, so he has to use a different kind of bottle instead. Once his camp is set up, he starts preparing dinner. He uses a small portable fire pit, throwing on pork steaks and lamb kebabs while enjoying the peaceful solitude. To add some background noise, he turns on a small radio, something he usually doesn't bring along. Everything seems normal until the unsettling noises begin. At first, it's just subtle rustling coming from the trees. Gaz assumes it's just small animals moving through the brush, but Fendi reacts strangely. Her ears perk up, and she begins staring intently into the darkness. Her behavior unsettles him, as she's usually relaxed at camp. He pauses, scanning the area with his small keyring flashlight, but the dense forest swallows most of the light. He thinks he sees movement for a brief second, but can't be sure.
Ooh, look at that, eh? Pork steaks, lamb kebabs. Wow, beautiful. Spot on that. Now we're just going to chill out for a bit. Maybe listen to some music. Oh, that's it. Brought a radio, didn't I? First time I've ever brought a radio with me. Might get that out and have a look at that. Yes! Let's turn that off, I'll get done for copyright. Turn that off. Can't see out now. It's not bad, is it? For a little torch. For a little keyring torch. Low. High.
The sounds grow louder and more persistent as the night progresses. At one point, he hears whispering or hushed voices, low and indistinct, as if multiple people are murmuring just out of earshot. He turns off his radio, thinking it might be interference, but the whispering continues. As he listens more closely, the voices abruptly stop, plunging the forest back into total silence. Now completely on edge, Gaz tries to ignore the noises and focus on his fire. But then, a loud thud echoes through the woods. It sounds like something heavy stepping on a fallen branch. He stops what he's doing and listens intently. The crackling of twigs and leaves underfoot makes it clear. He isn't alone. Feeling a surge of adrenaline, Gaz grabs his flashlight and scans the tree line, hoping to spot whatever is out there. As he moves the beam through the trees, he catches a brief glimpse of movement, something darting behind a tree. But before he can focus on it, it's gone. At this point, Fendi is visibly disturbed, pacing around and refusing to settle. She keeps staring at a specific spot in the woods, growling softly. Then Gaz hears a low growl, but it's not coming from Fendi. The sound is deep, guttural, and seems to be coming from the darkness beyond his firelight. It sends a chill down his spine. He stands completely still, straining to hear anything else. Then another growl. This time, it's closer. He knows he has two options: investigate or stay put. Against his better judgment, he decides to take a short walk toward the sound, using his blue police-style flashlight, which emits a flashing strobe effect.
Just thought we'd come out for a little bit of a wander in the dark. No, can't see out. Hold on. Pitch black. Oh, sorry. Gonna see if there's. I had some kids earlier just running about, messing about. So if I find them, I'm gonna put me little. Do this. Walk through woods going. Woo 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 woo. Come on, mate.
His heart pounds as he moves forward, scanning the darkness. Then he hears something that freezes him in place. A child's laughter. It's faint, almost distant, but unmistakable. The eerie giggle echoes through the trees, making the hair on his neck stand up. There are no houses nearby, no other campers, and no reason why a child's voice should be heard in the middle of the woods at this hour. His stomach drops. He turns around and quickly makes his way back to camp. As he reaches his fire, he sits down, trying to make sense of what he just heard. Was it a trick of the wind? His imagination? He replays it in his mind, but he knows what he heard. It was real.
Come on, mate.
For the rest of the night, he remains alert, occasionally hearing rustling, faint footsteps, and distant noises. The growling stops, but the overwhelming feeling of being watched never fades. Fendi refuses to relax, standing guard near his sleeping area. Eventually, exhaustion takes over, and he decides to crawl into his tent and try to sleep. He keeps his flashlight close, his knife within reach, and hopes that whatever is out there loses interest in him. At sunrise, Gaz wakes up early, feeling an overwhelming sense of relief. The forest feels different in the daylight, less ominous, less suffocating. He quickly packs up his gear, eager to leave. Before heading out, he walks around his campsite to check for any disturbances from the night before. Everything appears normal. No tracks, no signs of movement, nothing that could explain what he experienced.
Because of all mist last night and it being cold, I think it got down to about 1 degree last night. Tent inside has condensated pretty bad. Always make sure your fire's out completely before you leave camp. Get some more water and douse it. Fire's completely out now. That's where the tent was.
Regardless of the explanation, one thing was clear. This was not a normal night in the woods. What began as a simple solo camping trip quickly turned into one of the most terrifying encounters Grizzly Gaz has ever experienced. And with that, I'll take your leave. As always, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Also, let me know your thoughts on this video. Even criticisms are appreciated. Don't forget to check out more disturbing videos that will be on your screen in about 3 seconds. I'm out.